I got it. All right.
Let me see that sweater again.
Huh? Oh.
What's going on with that? Yeah, tis the season.
I was thinking, the last time we recorded, we were probably bitching about the hot weather because that's what we do. And now it's cold.
Yep.
I think it's the coldest day we've had in the Carolinas all November.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I think so.
well, according to the news that I was listening to while I was getting my oil change yesterday at the Walmart for 2 hours.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
My wife got oil changed at Valvoline and it took like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I used to go to what
Now
is
we're
it?
talking about car maintenance.
Yeah, I know.
Weather, car maintenance.
Well, I used to go to Take Five. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
That is,
And I like them. Because it's fast or whatever. But they've like doubled their prices almost. Like, I mean, and my wife has like a V6 engine, and so it's like over $100 to get an oil change. And I don't know, but I probably would have paid that yesterday just for the convenience because yeah, I had my iPad and I was drawing on my iPad, and then after like an hour I'm just like, I don't want to fucking draw anymore. And
I just want to
yeah.
go. I just want
Yeah, and you're just sitting in this like just horrible Walmart waiting room with a TV that can't keep signal for the life of it. So I'm only getting like half of the news stories that they're talking about anyway.
dude.
And
I can't wait until we have stasis tubes, not for space exploration, but like you go for an oil change or go to the doctor or dentist, just step in the tube and then everything goes out. Next thing you know,
yeah,
doctor, see you now.
oh my God. I would have, yeah, yeah. And I had to, I needed to, she's got a slow leak in one of her tires. And I was like, hey, I think she's got something in it, can you just patch it up or whatever? And they were like, oh, it's like an 8.5 hour wait for tires. And I was like, never mind. I'll come. So now I get to go like tomorrow again
Ugh.
to try and get the tire fixed because she's going out of town. So
Mm. Sorry.
life, life, guys.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Take us away.
Wait a minute.
Put your
I've
glass.
got to clean my glasses because they're awful. I turned this ring light on and and all of a sudden I can see how dirty my glasses are. Because the light's just pouring through it.
False
Super
start
unprofessional. I'm
on
sorry.
Ryan.
It's a little better. All right. Welcome to Comics in the Making. My name is Ryan Holgerson. I'm the creator of Slackmatic, and I'm joined, as always, by Levi Erickson, the creator of The Big. Levi, how you doing, man?
It is good to see you. It's good to be back.
It's been a long time. We've been trying to put out videos on a almost weekly basis. Uh, maybe every week and a half or whatever. We've been getting a video up. So I think today we're gonna kind of talk about what we've been doing
Mm-hmm.
and our journey over the last 2 months.
And the benefits of taking a break.
Yeah. So we had filmed a bunch of videos of kind of moving into the beginning of October, knowing that I was going to be incredibly busy. So from October to November, I have 2 jobs officially. And during that time I'm literally working every single day. So from October to November I ended up taking 3 days off total. One of those was because I wanted to, and 2 of those was because I got sick. And I think my body was like, you need to slow the fuck down.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. 100%.
I really do, because I it wasn't a horrible illness, but it knocked me on my ass for about a day or so.
Yep.
And
you were trying to record. You know you wanted to shoot.
yeah,
You're like Levi, I'm home today. I can shoot, and it's like you
yeah,
said, shit, we're not shooting. You're
yeah.
gonna post.
I was still trying to go, man. Yeah, it's kind of this time of the year for me. Uh, for the last few years that I've been doing this,
Mhm.
I just kind of nose to the grindstone, and I just work.
Mhm.
Um, so on top of that, I decided, I'm going to take my busiest time of the year. And for the month of October, I said, I'm also going to put out 5 comics pages every single week. Um, yeah. And so what ended up happening doing that, which I did succeed in that in October. I missed a day or two in November, I think, because I did keep it going. I did another story after that. Um, but the way that worked, because of my work schedule, I was really doing like 5 to 6 pages in 3 days.
Mhm.
And I was trying to hit that 6 page because my day was so long on Sundays, because I would take the weekends off as far as like posting. I wasn't actually off. But as far as posting, and so my goal was always to have Monday's strip ready on like the Wednesday before. So I
Right.
knew I could go into my longest work days, which were, always Friday through Sunday. I could go into that knowing, well, I can take a little bit of a break Sunday night, knowing that that strip for Monday was done.
Yep. Yep. Front loading
Uh,
your schedule.
right,
That
right.
sets you up for success. You know, if something gets in the way or plans change, front loading your schedule, I always recommend.
Yeah, yeah. So that worked for like the first, I think, 2 weeks of October. Um, and then I hit a snag somewhere where a page took me longer or something like that. I just didn't get done what I wanted to get done.
Mhm.
And so for the last few weeks of doing that, I I would get home on Sunday about, I don't 9:30 at night after working all day, and have to do an entire comic page and be up until, luckily I work pretty fast. But even then, that was still working till 12 or 1 in the morning,
Mhm.
to get my page done for Monday. And I'm not too proud to say I had at least one time where I finished the page and I emailed it to myself as a JPEG, and I leaned back in my chair and woke up an hour later.
Oh, damn.
And I know I woke up an hour later because I couldn't even remember if I emailed it to myself or not. And I checked my email and was like, oh, I did. And it was an hour ago. And I was sleeping in front of my Cintiq for like an hour.
Nice.
So I didn't have the classic like falling asleep on the Cintiq, although that would have been kind of warm. I'm feeling
Drooling on it.
it was pretty warm. It would have been kind of comfortable. I would have gotten spit all over it and slobbered
Nice.
all over it. Um, but it was it was a good exercise. I mean, I think part of it, I was like, you know, I was kind of like, you've got to be an idiot for doing this, taking this 2 month span. And then at the same time, I was like, well, if I can do this now when I'm this busy, what can I do when I'm working a more normal work schedule?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I think that was my thinking behind it.
Yep.
So, um, and some of the good things that came from it was one, my, before we jumped on here, you were kind of talking about inking in Clip Studio, and that kind of hit me. Um, so when I was inking these 2 stories that I ended up doing, uh, I was working only with one brush in Clip Studio, and it was the just the real G pen, which is what comes one of the pens that
Yep.
comes with a clip. And had it, I've talked before about my inking process where I keep it at one size and I don't change it and stuff like that. And so I did all of the inking with the few exceptions of like using the like straight edge tool and stuff like that. I did all of the inking uh with that one size brush. And that kind of helped me took some of the thinking process out where I was just drawing, you
Okay.
know. And although I think if you look at the stories, you probably wouldn't say that's a looser style for me. I don't think it necessarily looks loose. Um, but for me, I think it was looser than what I've inked before. I think I was being maybe a little more, even more cartoonier or cartoony than I normally am.
Hmm.
And I really enjoyed it. So I'm kind of working that way a little more.
Nice.
So that was a positive.
Yep.
Um, I'm gonna say the negative was pretty much hitting a wall. If
Yeah.
I'm honest with myself, I should have, and I almost felt this way immediately. I should have stopped after I finished that first story. Um, that first story was like 21 pages. I
Hmm.
kind of like it pretty much worked out to where it was like all the weekdays of October.
Yeah.
Um, I think minus like one day or whatever, just because of the length. And I should have just said, all right, I'm done. And instead, I wrote a whole nother like 10-page story and was like, I'm going to keep this going. And then I was like, I'm going to
Right.
do it in color. And that really kind of knocked me on my ass. And you know what I mean, digitally to me coloring doesn't really add that much time. Um but it is one more thought process
Mhm.
that you're having to think about, especially for the first couple pages for me.
100%.
Yeah.
Momentum makes things go faster. Um, in the sense that you're kind of operating a little bit more efficiently
Yeah.
once you get that momentum going on the project. And I kind of experienced that myself last weekend, and I didn't really because I got back to doing work on my book, and within 2 weeks, I got the last 2 pages of chapter two, so the full size floppy will be
Yeah.
forthcoming, and and there was both of them were from layout, thumbnails, to roughs you know to the raw art being finished. I still have the digital tones and all that to do. But last weekend there was we've had a lot of stuff going on,
Right.
parallel to to your busy month. We had we lost my father-in-law, and so there was all that going on, traveling, funerals, you name it. And so even once we kind of got back and recovered from all that, everyone was just kind of like, ugh,
Yeah.
you know. And then so slowly working back in, got second to last page done like 2 weeks ago. And then last weekend, I started working on, I think it was late Saturday. I said, well, let me just blow up these roughs and blue line them. And Sunday comes around and, let me just start inking the borders and let me start getting some of the mechanical lines. Next thing you know, the page is done.
Right.
I just, it just started, snowballing. I'm like, oh no, you know, I'm getting real close. And I kept going and for a school night, yeah, I pushed it, close to 11, but I was going to finish that page.
Yeah.
And so now I can say at least the raw art, the labor part of the art is done on that book.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then this weekend, long weekend, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I played the NES Legend of Zelda, and I've gotten
Yeah.
further in that game than I've ever gotten in my life.
Yeah. Thank is that yeah, no, so I mentioned hitting a wall. I mean, and so and how much I've worked and just been going nonstop the last 2 months. So Thanksgiving till we're recording the Sunday after Thanksgiving. I've taken these 4 days off. And aside, well, I've been working today on comics, but aside from drawing in the iPad waiting for my oil change,
Mhm.
um I beat the Shredder's Revenge
Oh, I've heard
Ninja
good
Turtles
things.
game.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Uh,
wait, we have that. I think I got
oh,
that for Steam.
it's so good.
You ever
It's
play
so good.
online?
Not really, not that much. Uh, no, I played on my Switch, for that,
Yeah.
and played a little bit of Resident Evil 4 remake. I'm so close to beating it. Um, so I played video games, which I haven't done in forever.
No, yeah.
Um, Me and my daughter watched the Scott Pilgrim series on Netflix. I'm a huge fan of the comic. I love the comics. I love the movie.
Mhm.
I love the video game. We've been playing the Scott Pilgrim video game also,
Nice.
which are the same people that did Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you like that beat 'em up style, we're a video game podcast now, just so you know.
Yeah, yeah, we
Uh,
are.
yeah. So we've been playing
Hey,
that.
the arcade one ups, the mini cabinets.
Yeah, yeah,
They got the Turtles, the Simpsons,
yeah,
the X-Men,
yeah.
and I guess maybe they're still on Black Friday sale. They're very tempting. The price point
Really.
for Black Friday are
Oh man,
super tempting.
I am such a huge fan of the Ninja Turtle one.
Yeah, yeah,
And I've been eyeing that for years.
yeah,
And I can never be like, yeah, I'm gonna spend hundreds of dollars on one video game
stuff.
to sit it in the corner somewhere in my house to play every once in a while. And so
But
I
if
just
you have people over,
yeah, yeah.
But
Um,
I would have to say if you do, you'd have to get like Street Fighter 2 or Marvel versus Capcom, like a good part. I mean,
oh
the
yeah,
Simpsons, Ninja Turtles, the beat 'em ups, the cooperative beat 'em ups, that would be good for a party game.
yeah.
But
Yeah, you're right. I think a fighting game would have more replay value, maybe.
right.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I love all of them. I just need a whole room in the house with it's nothing but arcade one-ups.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. And this
Yeah.
this kind of this is what we're talking about, or at least starting off this chat with, is what we've done over this sort of break that we've taken. Um, at least from shooting on the regular basis for all the things that we mentioned just now, but also at times because I haven't been as productive as you have. Obviously, you took it as a challenge to kind of you did some Rocky 4 stuff in terms of training yourself up for a production pace. Me on the other hand, there was a lot of decompression time, uh,
Yeah.
even though I was able to get. And when I wasn't working on those pages, I've got this Predator Yautja sketch that I'm using as a tool to teach myself to work digitally in Clip Studio Paint. And so I've been learning how to ink on the tablet, and and some elements of the background drawing from scratch. So it's not been a time of stepping away from making comics,
Yeah.
but it has been a time of just I haven't driven myself to meet my self-imposed deadlines or production schedules. I'm just when you feel good about doing it, do it.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling good. We're back in the saddle here. So it's having the effect that I want because I'm feeling recharged.
Yeah.
And because now that book, is done, I've got the plot outline, I've got the beats for the whole series, but the plot outline for issue 2, and I've modified my writing style in the process of issue 1. So now's the time to start nailing that to the wall,
Yeah.
which I'm excited to do.
How'd you modify your writing style? What are you doing different?
Well, when I started out, I did everything exactly as I was taught. Um, every element was made as if I was going to hand it to somebody else.
Right.
And I've started streamlining that, instead of, writing it as a script, more like for a film, you know, description of the scene, camera angles, character one, is doing this, here's the quote, dialogue. Character two is doing this, there's the dialogue. Now I'm writing basically descriptions of what's going to happen in the scene, and maybe dialogue if it's coming to mind, or I'll make a note. They're having a conversation about the dog, or whatever. Here's one detail I want to work into that conversation. But when it comes to, that comes out when I'm actually doing the layouts and I'm deciding where the dialogue balloons are going to go with respect to the layout, and then that's where I start thinking about what the lines are going to be.
Right.
And
Okay.
and honestly, like my original script, I got it right here next to me. It was written out to 24 pages,
Yeah.
but because from page 21 to 23 we're all basically talking heads, I said that's too much. That's too much back and forth.
Yeah.
So page 22 to 24 are combined into one page.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a 22 pager,
Right.
rather than the 24.
I mean, I that's nothing but a good thing, I
Yeah.
think,
I think it's always good to think about what can I cut out of this.
Yeah, no, editing is, I think that's something we don't talk a lot about
Like
as
making a
as
note right here.
yeah, I don't think editing's something we talk enough about as cartoonists. Especially in the writing process. So I can say I don't know how successful this was, but the second story I did, um uh after my October story. So this was pretty much the 2 weeks in November. Afterwards, I worked on this 10-page story. So when I originally wrote it, it was, I think, 11 pages. And as I started getting into doing the final artwork and everything, and I got into that second week, and I'm not too proud to say, by the time I got to that second week in November, and I was into, 5 weeks of nonstop work, of, when I'm not working at one of my two jobs, I'm sitting in front of this antique drawing, and then
That's the
sometimes coming
grind,
home.
man.
Yeah, coming home from work and drawing more. And and so I hit that second week in November, and I had 6 or 7 more pages. I'm pretty sure it ended up being 10, but I had like 6 more pages, and I'm like, I cannot draw 6 more pages of this. And I started looking at it and going, well, what can I do? And so I really compressed, same as you, the last 2 pages into one.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I don't know if it was successful or not. It was fine for me because I just wanted it. I just wanted it done. I was like, I want to finish this. The story was, I mean, it was all right. I thought there were some funny jokes and stuff like that, and themes and stuff. But to be honest, I was more excited about the story I did in October
Mhm.
than the one I did in November. And all your stories are not always gonna hit, you know.
No, yeah, yeah.
And so anyway, I no, I did the same thing where I was like, I'm gonna edit this down. So it was partly like, do I really need to uh keep this going another 2 pages, or can I finish it here? And then also, I just want to be done. So it was a
Yeah.
combination. But yeah, no, I do the same thing though as I'm working. I kind of do a really fast first draft of the story, and then as I'm knocking pages out, I'm looking at it and going, does this still work as a one page unit,
Yeah.
or a
Yeah.
spread? And sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes I got to compress a little bit, sometimes I need to decompress a little bit. And I think that's really important for a storytelling uh devices,
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
um
And we could talk about those, but I think that we could talk about that for a whole nother show, which
yeah,
I've made a note right here on my little paper.
yeah. Well, so, and I'll you know I'll talk about this a little bit, just as far as like my experiment the last 2 months of putting out, a page every weekday through October. And so one thing that I did, obviously I'm posting to Facebook, Instagram, all that junk. And about 2 weeks in, I I realized that a subreddit, the webcomic subreddit that I had been posting. So this gets into like Reddit politics, but a bunch of subreddits had shut down because Reddit was refusing third party applications.
Mm.
And so in uh 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 a sense of solidarity from some of these subreddits, a lot of subreddits shut down because they disagreed with that whole third party thing.
Yeah.
So but they started coming back, and so the webcomic subreddit was one of those, and it came back. So when it came back, I had like 11 pages of the egg story that I did, and so I just posted all 11 pages up on there.
Yep.
And when I did that, I got a bigger response from that than I did on Instagram and Facebook, where I was just doing a page at a time. And I think, I mean, the reading experience was just so much better for those people reading this big chunk of story.
Right. Yeah.
And so it really got me thinking about, the delivery systems that we use. If we're putting out free content on the web, and putting out, trying to be regular and putting out like a page every day, well, that's not necessarily a great reading experience for somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
um
It's
you
like
know
you go to the comic shop for the latest issue, and oh yeah, here's the latest issue. It's page 6.
right. Well, and so that second story that I did, I started kind of realizing that as I was getting into it. And so the second story, what I tried was, well, I'm going to make every page very much its own thing,
Hmm.
where there's either like a good joke or something really, really big happens.
Yeah.
Um, because with my first story, I wrote it very much as this is going to be in print. This is a book. Um, and so when you're putting that out on a daily basis, you're going to have pages where, it's just an establishing shot or something happens,
Hmm.
So I was like, I'm not going to do that in this second story. The second story is going to be every single page something's happening. And I think that's part of the reason I didn't enjoy it as much, because it was kind of a lot more work on every single page
Yeah.
trying to do that. And so the conclusion I've kind of come to is, for me, this isn't for everybody, but for me, I think moving forward, I'm going to try and have much larger chunks of stories released at once, or you know do these much shorter stories where they're like 8 to 10 pages and stuff like that, and release them all at once. um it's kind of a gamble with the algorithm as we know it, you know because what if you don't post for like a week or two because you're finishing it up, and then you post and nobody sees it,
Yep.
which is kind of disappointing. um but I just think, as a reading experience overall, for me, for what I do, I think that's gonna work the best.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
yeah.
Makes
But
total.
yeah, I mean that was something that really that was good for me, even though I've been putting out content for a long time online. Doing that uh recently, and having that experience with Reddit,
Right.
to where, this bigger chunk hit more. I was like, okay, maybe this is the direction I need to go in. So
No, yeah, yeah. And that kind of like also gets into the waters of something we can talk about at length on maybe another video. There's a lot said about distribution,
yeah,
but I think at least what I see, it's people when they say distribution, what they mean print media distribution, and and not online or web.
yeah,
Um, and I think we refer to the algorithm as a replacement for the term distribution,
yeah,
um, which obviously has a lot to do with it on a lot of different platforms.
yeah,
But yeah, I think we can talk about the ins and outs of navigating electronic or online distribution, web distribution, um, at length, and compare and contrast
yeah,
that with print, both on a large scale print media, mainstream distribution, or self published distribution.
yeah, yeah. No, and it's boy, I don't think there's an artist out there um that isn't frustrated
Yeah.
with distribution.
No. Yeah.
Um, if there is, oh my God, let me know. What are you doing? Because everyone I talk to, I mean, the the second job that I work, I help my friend who's a jeweler, so she's an artist, and a lot of her uh income, minus festivals and stuff like that, are of course online sales.
Mm-hmm.
And we get super frustrated with the algorithm and stuff like that. I've been helping her with some with that, and we go through her followers on Instagram, and they're all rock sellers.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same as us on social media. All of our followers are cartoonists. you
Yeah.
know
100%.
and it's oh, it's great that I have these people following me, but that's not our audience. Her audience are people that wear jewelry, not people that make jewelry.
Right.
Our audience are people that read and are interested in the stories we're telling,
Yep.
not other people that are telling stories. And don't get me wrong, we have fans of our work who are cartoonists, and that's great, but that's not our target. There's not enough cartoonists for me to make a living off of selling my artwork.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
100%.
yeah, this is a whole nother episode.
Yeah, we'll get in the weeds on that one right there.
Oh my God.
Um, Real quick though, why don't we remind people what we have
Yeah,
out in the world that's available for your holiday shopping pleasure?
right. So for me, I've got two places you can get stuff by me. First, Book of Things. That's my 44 page collection of my Page of Things project. Abstract comics. Use them for your D&D campaigns. Use them for story prompts. Just enjoy the artwork. I don't know. I don't care. You can get that on Amazon. And then, of course, my Etsy store, where I sell my self-published books. I did our continuity is so fucked up right now. I know I mentioned buy pizza night because I'm gonna sell out. Well, I sold out. I'm all out of pizza night. But I still have the Haunted Doll. I've got Not Nomicon. I've got lots of little comics on there. So go to my Etsy store. Sell me out of everything else. Levi, what do you
Absolutely.
got?
Well, we are, as I said, I finished the physical artwork for the second chapter of the Big, and that gets contained with chapter one for a full size floppy comic book. And I have a few of the ash cans that are just the MiniComic manga sized chapter ones. They are available at my Etsy store. You know, link to all this stuff we're talking about in the YouTube. I mean, it says right there. You know where it is. Down below. You know what else is below these nuts?
Oh God, not a D's nuts joke.
but but I'm, you know, as I'm finishing up that and getting it ready for print, I'm also starting to get my Kickstarter campaign going on. So I'm going to have a lot of fun tiers with that, and that I expect will launch before the holidays. So if you're interested and you've been watching us, maybe you don't have the mini comic, and if it's an either or, I would much rather you back the Kickstarter. But if you want to get a hold of one of those physical copies of the mini, they're available at the Etsy store as well.
Do
But
both.
yeah,
Just do both.
I mean both, you know, in this economy, man, with inflation, I'm not gonna... Speaking of these nuts, I don't even know what that means. I was making these nuts jokes with we were in the grocery store.
Yeah.
I can't remember what we were looking for, and but we came down an aisle, and it was a perfect these nuts joke opportunity, and I had to throw it out there.
Yeah.
And you want to make a 17-year-old embarrassed, throw down a these nuts joke when people are doing their pre-church shopping.
Well, that's our job as parents,
Yeah.
to embarrass our children nonstop.
Yep. Yep. Without a doubt. So I
Yeah.
am happy to oblige.
Yeah.
Well, right on, man. It's
All
good to
right.
be back in the saddle.
Absolutely.
And we are just going to turn the heat up because it's getting cold, as we mentioned
Yep.
in the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
But as far as comics and all the fun things that keep us warm and cozy, we are rocking and rolling, brother.
All right. Levi, take us out.
All right, do the damn thing.
Do it.
Do it now.